I'm standing on my own porch, our porch, and I can't feel my fingers. It's 9:47 on a Thursday night in February, and the kind of cold that bites through your coat and straight into your bones is ripping down our street in Brooklyn. The wind's so sharp it feels personal, like even the weather wants me gone. My suitcase sits at my feet. One suitcase. 42 years of marriage, and that's what I get, one suitcase and a garbage bag full of shoes. Calvin stands in the doorway. My husband. 65 years old, gray at the temples, still wearing the watch I bought him for our 20th anniversary. He won't look at me. Won't even give me that. Behind him, I see her. Celeste. 43 years old. Yoga instructor. Tight black leggings and my silk robe, the cream one I got from Bergdorf's in 1998.
She's leaning against my kitchen counter, sipping tea from my mug, the one that says "World's Best Mom" that our daughter Simone made in 3rd grade.
She's smiling. Not a big smile. Just enough. Just enough to let me know she's already won. Calvin clears his throat. Patrice, I need you to understand something. I stare at him. My chest is tight. I think I might throw up. I've spent the last 20 years carrying you, he says. His voice is flat. Rehearsed. You never contributed. You never built anything. You just existed. Off my money. Off my success. The neighbor's curtains twitch. Mrs. Kowalski from 42B is definitely watching. I can feel her eyes on me like headlights. Calvin, I'm done, he cuts me off. I'm done carrying a broke woman who brings nothing into this marriage. The words hit me like a fist to the stomach. Broke. Nothing. I raised his children. I kept his house. I sat beside him at every company dinner, every charity gala, every single moment he needed a wife on his arm to look successful. I held his hand through his father's funeral. I nursed him through pneumonia. I loved him when he was a struggling architect with a dream and a beat-up Honda. But I brought nothing. My last box, the one with my photo albums, my mother's jewelry, the quilt my grandmother made, comes flying past me and lands on the frozen lawn. The box splits open. Pictures scatter across the grass. You have 10 minutes before I change the locks, Calvin says. His voice is so calm. That's what guts me. The calmness. Like he's telling me the forecast. Like I'm nothing.
Like we're nothing. Celeste steps forward now into the light of the doorway.
She wraps her arm around his waist. I'm sorry this is hard for you, she says. And she actually sounds sincere. That's the cruelty of it. She sounds kind. But Calvin deserves to be with someone who matches his energy. Someone who's financially independent. I look at her. Really look at her. She has no idea who I am. Neither does he. Not anymore. I bend down slowly because my knees aren't what they used to be, and I'll be damned if I fall in front of them, and I pick up my suitcase. My hands are shaking. From the cold. From the rage. From something I don't have a name for yet. I don't say a word. I turn and walk down the steps of the brownstone we bought in 1986 for $340 zero. The one that's now worth $3.2 million. The one I helped renovate with my own hands, stripping wallpaper at midnight, painting baseboards on my knees. I hear the door slam behind me. The lock clicks. I stand on the sidewalk, suitcase in hand, and I look up at the bedroom window. The light's already off. 42 years. Gone in 10 minutes. A cab slows down. The driver rolls down his window. You need a ride, Mom, I nod. I can't speak yet. He pops the trunk, helps me with my suitcase. Doesn't ask questions. New Yorkers know when to mind their business. Where to, he asks. I give him an address in Manhattan. The Pierre Hotel, 5th Avenue. He raises an eyebrow, but says nothing. As we pull away, I look back one last time. Calvin's silhouette moves past the living room window. He's laughing. I can see his shoulders shaking. I close my eyes. Calvin thinks I'm poor. Calvin thinks I brought nothing to this marriage. Calvin has no idea that the broke woman he just threw out owns things he's never even dreamed of. But he's about to find out. 72 hours. That's all it's going to take. 72 hours, and the man who thought he knew everything about me is going to get a phone call that will shatter his entire world. I lean back in the cab. My hands have stopped shaking. The driver catches my eye in the rearview mirror. "You okay back there?" I smile. Small. Quiet. I will be.
The city lights blur past the window.
The cab smells like coffee and old leather. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wails. And for the first time in 20 years, I feel something I'd forgotten existed. Power. The cab pulls away from the curb and suddenly I smell it. Coffee. Burnt toast. Cinnamon rolls rising in the back oven. I'm not in the cab anymore. I'm 23 years old, standing in a cramped kitchen in Queens flour on my hands, my hair tied back with a rubber band because I couldn't afford scrunchies yet. That bakery on Steinway Street. Stella's. I worked there for 16 years. Calvin doesn't remember that. Or maybe he does, and he just stopped caring. I started at Stella's 3 months after we got married. Calvin was building his architecture firm building, he called it, though really he was hemorrhaging money and hope in equal measure. Someone had to pay the rent. Someone had to make sure the lights stayed on.
So I took the early shift.
4 a.m. to noon. Then I'd come home, make dinner, and fall asleep on the couch while Calvin sketched buildings that never got built. I remember the winter of '89. Calvin's firm lost its biggest client. We were 30 days from eviction. He sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands, and I watched him cry for the first time in our marriage. "I'm going to lose everything," he said. I didn't correct him. Didn't say, "You mean we're going to lose everything?" I just put my hand on his shoulder and told him it would be okay. The next morning I went to Stella and asked for extra shifts. She gave me weekends. Double pay on Sundays. I worked 70-hour weeks for 6 months straight. My feet ached so badly I couldn't stand in the shower. But we didn't lose the apartment.
Calvin didn't lose his dream.
He never asked how I did it. There was another time, 2003, I think. Our son Marcus was applying to colleges. Good schools. Columbia. NYU. Cornell.
Calvin wanted him to go Ivy League.
"A man needs a proper education," he said, like we had that kind of money just lying around. We didn't, but I did. I'd been setting aside money for years. $20 here, $50 there. Tips from catering gigs, birthday checks from my mother that I never spent. I kept it all in a safe deposit box at Chase on 86th Street. A box Calvin didn't know existed. I paid Marcus's first-year tuition in cash. $42. Calvin thought it was financial aid. I let him think that. Because that's what you do when you love someone right. You protect their pride. You let them believe they're the hero of the story even when you're the one holding everything together behind the scenes. I think about the gambling debt.
That was 2011.
Calvin got into poker.
Networking, he called it. Building client relationships. He lost $35 in 6 months. I found out when a man in a leather jacket showed up at our door asking for Calvin in a voice that made it clear this wasn't a friendly visit. I told Calvin I'd handle it. He looked relieved. Grateful, even. I went back to that safe deposit box. I took out everything I'd saved over 3 years. Every single dollar. And I paid off a debt my husband accumulated because he thought he was smarter than the cards. He never thanked me. He never even asked where I got the money. If you've ever given everything to someone who later turned away, you'll understand this part. You'll know what it feels like to be invisible inside your own life. To be essential but unseen. I worked. I sacrificed.
I held our family together with spit and prayer and sheer stubbornness.
And Calvin looked at me tonight like I was dead weight. The thing is, I never needed him to see me as a hero. I just needed him to see me as equal. As a partner. As someone who mattered. But somewhere along the way, maybe when his firm finally took off, maybe when the money started coming in, maybe when he started wearing $800 suits and forgetting where he came from, he stopped seeing me at all. He started seeing a woman who didn't work a real job. A woman who stayed home, who didn't bring in a paycheck with his company's logo on it. A woman who was, in his words, broke. Stella handed me an envelope once back in 2006. I was leaving after my last shift. I'd finally quit to take care of Calvin's mother when she got sick. "Patrice," she said, "you're the best thing that ever happened to this place." Inside the envelope was $20 zero. A bonus. Profit sharing from all those years. I didn't tell Calvin. I added it to the box. The cab driver's voice pulls me back. "We're here, ma'am." I look up. The Pierre Hotel towers above us, lit like a jewel on Fifth Avenue. I pay the fare. Tip him well. He helps me with my suitcase again. As I walk through the gold-trimmed doors past the doorman who nods at me like I belong here, I think about Calvin's face tonight. The disgust. The certainty. He thinks he knows me. He thinks he married someone small. But here's what Calvin never understood: quiet doesn't mean weak. And invisible doesn't mean powerless. I've been silent for 42 years. Not anymore. I don't sleep that night. The hotel bed is too soft. The sheets are too clean. Everything smells like lavender and money, and all I can think about is that look on Calvin's face like I was garbage he'd been meaning to take out for years. At 6:47 a.m., my phone buzzes. It's Marcus, our oldest. 38 years old. Partner at a law firm in Midtown. The son I put through Columbia with money I saved $1 at a time. "Mom, we need to talk." Not "are you okay?" Not "where are you staying?" Just "we need to talk," like I'm a client he's trying to settle with before court. "I'm listening," I say. There's a pause. I hear traffic in the background. He's walking to work. Can't even spare an office hour for this conversation. "Dad told us what happened," Marcus says. His voice is careful. Lawyer smooth. "And look, Mom, maybe this is for the best." I stop breathing. "What you and Dad, you haven't been happy in years." He's miserable. Your stops. Recalibrates. "Maybe it's time you both moved on."
Started fresh.
Started fresh. I repeat the word slowly like I'm learning a new language. "Marcus, your father threw me out of my own home. He had another woman in our house. Mom." He sighs. The sigh of a man who's already decided I'm being difficult. "Dad built that house. Dad paid for that house. You never really contributed financially, right? I mean, not in any significant way." The room tilts. "I worked for 16 years while your father at a bakery, Mom." Come on. Dad runs a firm. He employs 37 people. There's a difference between a job and a career. Each word is a knife. "You were 10 years old when I was working 70-hour weeks, so we didn't lose our apartment," I say quietly. "You don't remember that, do you?" Silence. "Look," Marcus finally says, "I'm just saying. Maybe Dad's right. Maybe you'd be better off in a quieter situation. There are really nice assisted living places in New Jersey. Climate controlled. Activities. You'd make friends. I'm 64 years old, Marcus. I know, but he stops. Someone's talking to him. A colleague, maybe. Sorry, Mom, I have to go. We'll talk later, okay? Just think about what I said. He hangs up. I sit on the edge of the bed, phone in my hand, and I realize I'm shaking. My son just told me to go die quietly in New Jersey. The second call comes 2 hours later. David, our younger son, 35, works in Calvin's firm as a project manager. He still lives in Park Slope, 10 blocks from the house I was thrown out of. Mom, Jesus Marcus told me what you said to him. What I start, but he cuts me off. You can't guilt trip him like that. He's trying to help. Help. Yeah. David sounds irritated, impatient. Look, nobody's saying you're a bad person. But Dad's been carrying you for years. Financially, emotionally. And now he finally has a chance to be happy, and you're making this all about you. He kicked me out with one suitcase, David, because you refused to leave. His voice rises. He asked you nicely for weeks. He tried to have a conversation. You wouldn't listen. I close my eyes. This is a lie. A complete, polished, rehearsed lie. Calvin never asked me for anything. Never said a word until last night when he threw my things on the lawn. David, I say slowly, did your father tell you he emptied our joint account? Pause. He withdrew his money, Mom. Money he earned. Money we saved together. You didn't save anything, he's shouting now. You spent 40 years spending Dad's paycheck while he built something real, and now you want half. That's insane. The line goes dead. I sit there staring at the phone. My sons. The boys I raised. The boys I fed and clothed and loved and sacrificed, for they think I'm a leech. That afternoon I go back. Not to the house. I'm not stupid. But I park across the street, 2 houses down, where I can see through the living room window. Calvin's there. So is Celeste. And so are Marcus and David, all of them sitting around my dining table drinking coffee from my mugs. I watch. And then I hear it. The window's cracked open just an inch, but enough. Calvin's voice carries. She's broke, he's saying. She has no savings. No assets in her name. I made sure of that years ago. Marcus laughs. Actually, laughs. So she can't fight you. She can't fight us, Calvin corrects. The house is in my name. The accounts are in my name. I've already rewritten the will. She gets nothing. David leans back in his chair. What if she tries to lawyer up? Calvin smiles. I can see it from here. With what money? They all laugh. Celeste raises her mug. To new beginnings. They toast. In my house. At my table. I sit in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. If you've ever trusted someone so deeply that their betrayal made you question your own worth, you're not alone. I thought I knew what pain was. I thought I understood loss. But this is different. This is the moment I realize the people I loved most in the world never loved me back. They just tolerated me. Used me. And now that I'm no longer useful, they're erasing me like I never existed. I start the car. I drive back to Manhattan. And somewhere between the Brooklyn Bridge and Fifth Avenue, something inside me shifts. The grief is still there. The heartbreak is still there. But underneath it, quiet, cold, and sharp as broken glass, is something else. Clarity. They think I have nothing. They think I'm powerless. They're wrong. I spend the first night at the Pierre. The second night, I check out. Not because I can't afford it, I can. but because lying in a $600 a night hotel room while my entire life burns down feels obscene. Like putting on evening wear to attend your own funeral. I find a place in Hell's Kitchen, the Amsterdam Inn. $89 a night. The kind of place where the hallway smells like disinfectant and old carpet, and the ice machine down the hall grinds like it's chewing gravel. Room 314. One double bed. One nightstand.
One lamp with a crooked shade.
A window that looks out onto a brick wall. So close I could touch it if the glass opened. Which it doesn't. I set my suitcase on the luggage rack, the metal kind that folds up with frayed straps, and I sit on the edge of the bed. The springs creak. I don't move for 20 minutes. That first evening I eat crackers from the vending machine. 6 crackers. Peanut butter. They taste like cardboard and salt, and I have to force myself to swallow. My phone sits on the nightstand. Silent. No calls. No texts. Not from Marcus. Not from David. Not from anyone. I check it twice. Maybe I missed something, maybe the sound was off, but no. It's just silent. Like the rest of my life. I think about calling them. My sons. I imagine their voices annoyed, maybe. Busy. Mom, what is it now? I put the phone down. Outside the city hums.
Sirens wail somewhere south of here. A car alarm goes off, then stops.
Someone laughs in the hallway. Life continues indifferent and loud, while I sit in this room that smells like someone else's cigarettes and try to remember what it felt like to matter. The second day I walk. I don't have a destination. I just walk because sitting still makes the walls close in. I pass our old neighborhood in Brooklyn. I don't mean to. I take the Q train and get off one stop too early, and suddenly I'm on our block standing across the street from the house. My house. There's a car in the driveway I don't recognize. A white Lexus. Celeste's, probably. Mrs. Kowalski is outside watering her plants. She sees me. Our eyes meet. She looks away. Quickly, like I'm something shameful. Something she shouldn't acknowledge. I keep walking. 3 blocks down, I pass the corner Deli, where I used to buy Calvin's newspaper every Sunday for 30 years. The owner Hassan is outside stacking crates of oranges. Patrice, he calls. Then he pauses. His smile fades. I heard. I nod. I'm sorry, he says quietly. He doesn't ask where I'm staying. Doesn't offer help. Just sorry, and then he goes back to stacking his oranges and I keep walking. That's when I realize I've been erased. Not violently. Not dramatically. Just quietly removed from the story of my own life. The third night I lie in bed and count the cracks in the ceiling. 17. 18 if you count the one near the smoke detector that might just be a water stain. The room is so quiet I can hear my own heartbeat. The refrigerator hums in the corner, one of those mini fridges that doesn't actually keep anything cold, just makes noise to justify existing. I think about calling someone. A friend. But who most of my friends were Calvin's friends first. Wives of his business partners. Women I had lunch with because it was expected. Women who smiled at me across tables at charity galas and never once asked what I wanted out of life. I don't have their numbers anymore. Or maybe I do, but I know what will happen if I call. The polite distance. The carefully worded sympathy that really means I don't want to get involved. If you've ever sat in a room so quiet it started to echo your thoughts, you'll understand this silence. It's not peaceful. It's suffocating.
It crawls into your chest and sits there heavy and cold, reminding you that no one is coming.
No one is checking in. No one even wonders if you're okay. I pull the blanket up to my chin. It's thin. Rough. Probably washed 1,000 times with industrial detergent. I close my eyes, and I cry. Not the loud, gasping kind of crying. Just tears,
Steady and silent.
soaking into the pillow that smells like bleach and someone else's grief. On the fourth morning, I wake up at 5:43 a.m. The room is gray with early light. Outside, a garbage truck beeps as it reverses down the street. I lie there, staring at the ceiling, and I think, is this what I'm worth? 42 years of marriage, 2 sons, a lifetime of loyalty, sacrifice, love. And I'm alone in a $89 motel room in Hell's Kitchen, eating vending machine crackers and crying into a stranger's pillow. But then underneath the grief, underneath the exhaustion, I feel something else. Small, barely there. A flicker. Not hope. Not yet. But awareness. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And despite everything Calvin did, despite everything my sons believe, despite the fact that I've been discarded like I never mattered, I'm still standing. I sit up. The room is still ugly.
The springs still creak.
The world outside is still indifferent. But I'm awake now. And awake is enough. On the 5th morning, I take the subway to Chase on 86th Street. The same bank I've been going to for 34 years. The same marble floors. The same teller windows. The same potted fern in the corner that somehow never dies. I walk up to the desk and ask for Robert Chen, my account manager.
He comes out of his office within 2 minutes, smiling that warm, professional smile he's perfected over decades of handling other people's money.
Mrs. Richardson, he says, shaking my hand. It's been a while. How can I help you today? I need to review my accounts, I say quietly. All of them. He nods, gestures toward his office. We sit. He pulls up my information on his computer and I watch his face as the numbers load. All right, he says, scrolling. So your primary savings account currently has a balance of $847.00. Your secondary account, the one linked to the rental properties, shows $312.00. And the trust fund your mother established, which matured last year, is sitting at $287.00. The room is very still. So that's... I do the math slowly, even though I already know. Just over $1.4 million. Correct. Robert leans back. Plus the monthly income from your commercial properties on Flatbush Avenue. Those tenants have been extremely reliable. You're clearing about $11.00 a month after expenses. I nod. My hands are folded in my lap.
Steady.
Calm.
Robert tilts his head slightly.
Mrs. Richardson, is everything all right? Robert, I say, has anyone tried to access these accounts recently? Anyone other than me? His expression shifts. Just barely. A flicker of something discomfort, maybe. Actually, he says carefully, your husband came in last week. He requested information about your accounts. Said he was helping you organize some paperwork. And what did you tell him? Nothing. Robert's voice is firm now. These accounts are solely in your name. I explained that unless you provided written authorization, I couldn't disclose any information. How did he react? Robert pauses. He was surprised. I think he expected the accounts to be joint. Or perhaps empty. I let that sit between us for a moment. One more question, I say. About 3 years ago, Calvin asked me to sign some papers. He said they were insurance documents. Can you check if anything was filed here around that time? Robert types. Scrolls. Frowns. There was an attempted filing, he says slowly. A power of attorney document, but our legal department flagged it because the notary signature appeared irregular. We never processed it. The pieces click into place. Calvin didn't throw me out because I was poor. He threw me out because he thought I was poor. Because he believed I had nothing. No money. No leverage. No way to fight back. He thought he could take everything, the house, the savings, the life we built, and I'd be too broke and too broken to stop him. He was setting me up. The divorce. The cruelty. The public humiliation. It was all calculated. If you've ever found truth in the quiet moments after pain, you know what this part feels like. Mrs. Richardson Roberts' voice pulls me back. Are you sure you're okay? I stand up, smooth my coat. I'm fine, Robert. Thank you. Do you need any document statements, anything? For he stops himself. For legal purposes, not yet, I say. But soon. I walk out of that bank into the cold morning air, and for the first time in 5 days, I feel something other than grief. I feel clarity. Calvin thought he married a poor woman who had nowhere to go. But he didn't. He married a woman who was just very, very quiet about what she had. And now it's time to stop being quiet. There comes a point when silence stops meaning defeat. It becomes preparation. I sit in that Hell's Kitchen motel room on the morning of the 6th day, and I don't cry. I don't shake. I don't stare at the ceiling counting cracks. I make a list. On the back of a receipt from the bodega downstairs, I write in neat, careful letters: 1. Lawyer, 2. Bank, 3. Property records, 4. Evidence. The pen feels steady in my hand. The light coming through the window is pale and cold, but it's light. That's enough. I Google family law attorney Manhattan and scroll past the flashy ads, the billboards promising vengeance, the faces of men in expensive suits who look like they bill $800 an hour to tell you what you already know. I find her on the 3rd page. Diane Dupree.
Small firm in the Flatiron district.
The website is simple, no stock photos of gavels or American flags. Just a headshot of a black woman in her 50s with silver streaks in her hair and eyes that look like they've seen every lie there is. Her tagline reads, "For women who've been underestimated." I call.
She answers on the 2nd ring.
Dupree Law. My name is Patrice Richardson, I say, and I need help taking back what's mine. There's a pause. Then come see me tomorrow. 9 a.m. Bring everything. She doesn't ask if I can afford her. Doesn't ask what happened. Just tells me to come. I hang up. And for the first time in days, I smile. The next morning, I'm sitting in Diane Dupree's office with a folder full of documents I pulled from my safe deposit box the day before. Bank statements. Property deeds. The lease agreements for my rental buildings. My mother's trust fund paperwork. Diane flips through them slowly, her reading glasses perched on her nose. Patrice, she finally says, looking up. Do you know what you have here, my life? I say quietly. No. She taps the deed to the Brooklyn house. You have leverage. This house, you own 70%. Your name is on the original mortgage. New York is an equitable distribution state, but this tilts everything in your favor. She keeps reading. These rental properties on Flatbush solely in your name. The trust fund solely in your name.
The savings accounts. She looks at me over her glasses.
Patrice, your husband has been living off your wealth for years and didn't even know it. I nod. And you said he tried to forge a power of attorney. The bank flagged it. Diane leans back in her chair. Then we have him for attempted fraud. And if he's been transferring money from joint accounts without your consent, that's financial abuse.
She pauses.
How long were you married? 42 years. Jesus. She exhales. Patrice, I'm going to be direct with you. Your husband thought he was throwing out a dependent. What he actually did was abandon a partner who subsidized his entire lifestyle. Do you understand what that means? It means I'm not the one who should be afraid. Exactly. For years I mistook generosity for love. Now I'm learning the quiet math of self-respect. That afternoon, I make the calls. First, Chase Bank. I request that all joint accounts be frozen pending legal review.
The representative is polite efficient.
We'll have that processed within 24 hours, Mrs. Richardson. Second, the investment firm where Calvin and I have a portfolio. I remove his access. The broker hesitates. Are you sure, Mom? And I say completely, and that's the end of it. Third, I call the property management company that handles my rental buildings on Flatbush. Mrs. Richardson, the manager says warmly, what can I do for you? I need the tenant list for 1847 Flatbush. Of course. Let me pull that up. There's typing. Then we have 6 units. All current on rent.
What's the unit number for Celeste Moreau? More typing.
Unit 4B. She's been there 8 months. Rent is $1.800. I close my eyes. Open them. Effective immediately, I say increase her rent to $2.500. Silence.
Mrs. Richardson, that's a
significant increase. It's within legal limits for lease renewal, correct? Yes, but then do it. Send the notice today. I hang up. It's funny how silence can sound like thunder when guilt starts to echo. By the evening of the 7th day, my phone starts ringing. David. Then Marcus. Then David again. I don't answer. I sit in that motel room with a cup of tea, Earl Grey, the good kind I bought from a shop in the village, and I watch my phone light up over and over. Mom, call me back. Mom, we need to talk. Mom, Dad says you're doing something crazy with the accounts. I sip my tea. They taught me that love meant giving. Today, I'm teaching myself that love can also mean stopping. On the 8th day, I receive an email from Diane. Subject motion filed body Patrice papers served this morning. Temporary restraining order granted. He can't touch the house, the accounts, or any assets until the hearing. You're safe. Call me. I read it twice. Then I stand up, walk to the window, and look out at the city. The morning light catches the edges of the buildings sharp and clear. Somewhere below, traffic moves. People shout.
life continues indifferent and loud.
But I'm not invisible anymore. I'm not silent because I'm weak. I'm silent because I'm ready. And Calvin's about to get a phone call that changes everything. The call comes at 9:17 a.m. on the 9th day. I'm sitting in a coffee shop in the West Village watching the steam rise from my cup when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I answer.
Mrs. Richardson, a man's voice.
Nervous. Professional. Speaking. This is James Kellerman. I'm your husband's attorney. I take a sip of coffee. Say nothing. Mrs. Richardson, I need to inform you that Mr. Richardson has asked me to reach out regarding the recent account freezes and property restrictions. I see. He'd like to speak with you. To resolve this amicably. I set my cup down gently. The porcelain clicks against the saucer. Mr. Kellerman, I say slowly, has my husband explained to you why those accounts were frozen? Silence. He said there was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. I let the word hang there. Did he tell you he threw me out of our home with one suitcase, that he told our sons I was a financial burden, that he tried to forge power of attorney documents to access my accounts? More silence. Mrs. Richardson, did he tell you, I continue, my voice steady as steel, that the house he kicked me out of is 70% mine, that the broke woman he humiliated owns rental properties worth over $2 million, that I've been subsidizing his lifestyle for decades without him even knowing? I hear papers rustling on his end. I wasn't aware. Of course you weren't. Because Calvin didn't know either. I pause. Tell my husband if he wants to speak to me, he can do so through my attorney, Diane Dupree. Her office is in Flatiron. I'm sure you can find it. I hang up. 3 minutes later, my phone rings again. Calvin. I stare at his name on the screen. That name I've seen every day for 42 years. The name I used to say with love. I answer, Patrice. His voice cracks. Patrice, please, we need to talk. No, I say quietly. We don't. The accounts, the house I can't, they won't let me. That's correct. WHADOYUMEA, and he's shouting now. Desperate. You have NOTHING. You never had anything. How are you? I had everything, Calvin. My voice is cold. Calm. I just never needed you to know it. Silence. Then, quieter, Patrice. Baby, please. We can work this out. I made a mistake. Celeste, she doesn't mean anything. Stop. I love you. I've always loved you. I was confused, Calvin. I close my eyes. You kicked out your wife because you thought she was poor. You humiliated her in front of neighbors. You turned her sons against her. You tried to steal from her. I didn't. You left behind a millionaire. The line goes dead quiet. I can hear him breathing. Fast. Shallow. This isn't real. It's very real. And Calvin, you're going to find out just how real in about 4 hours. What happens in 4 hours, you'll see. I hang up. At 1:30 p.m., I walk into Calvin's office building on Park Avenue. I'm wearing the navy suit I bought 3 years ago and never wore because Calvin said it made me look too serious. My hair is pulled back. My heels click against the marble floor. The receptionist looks up. Can I help you? I'm here to see Calvin Richardson. Do you have an appointment? I'm his wife. Her face changes. Everyone in this building has heard by now. Gossip travels fast in architecture firms. I'll call up, don't bother. I walk past her toward the elevators. She doesn't stop me. I take the elevator to the 7th floor. The doors open onto the main office space, glass walls, modern furniture, 20 people working at standing desks. Calvin's office is in the corner. I walk through the open floor plan. People look up. Whisper. Stare. I don't care. I open his door without knocking. Calvin is at his desk, phone pressed to his ear. When he sees me, his face goes white. I'll call you back, he says, hanging up. Celeste is there too. Sitting in the chair across from him, yoga pants and a coffee cup. My coffee cup.